Eye drops. You can buy them at any drugstore, and millions of you use them every day to treat common conditions like redness, dryness, or itchiness from allergies. But there's something I didn't know. These drops could be used for murder. On today's True Crime Tuesday, we're taking a closer look at this common over-the-counter drug, and we're asking, how can these little drops be used to kill? Lana and Stephen Clayton seem to live a very charmed life. But now, their 52-year-old wife, mother, and nurse is accused of murder. She's been charged with killing her husband, Stephen, by tampering with his food. In July of 2018, police were called to the Clayton family estate, where they found Stephen dead. Lana says her husband accidentally fell down the stairs. Police say she intentionally murdered him by slowly poisoning him with a common drug, eye drops. Now Lana sits in jail, denied bond, and far away from her waterfront estate. Crime correspondent Melissa Moore joins me now. Melissa, what's the most shocking part about this case for you?
I think the most shocking part is this is an exclusive, well-to-do community. The couple lived in a waterfront estate. She was also a nurse for the VA hospital.
She was a nurse?
Yeah, absolutely.
What did people who know Lana say about her?
Well, I think they're quite shocked because they say she was sweet, that she's soft-spoken, that she was also a member of the neighborhood Bible study. So this is pretty outrageous for them.
My goodness. And the couple themselves, were they happy? Did you know much about them?
Yeah, talking to neighbors, they said that Stephen absolutely adored Lana, that they had on the outside appeared to have a fantastic relationship, but there was this one incident in 2016 that will raise your eyebrows. So in 2016, police were called to the house because Lana accidentally shot him in the head with a crossbow. I know. Yeah. So he was sleeping and she shot him in the head with a crossbow. Stephen says that it was an accident, that he believes... He says it was an accident? Yeah, Stephen believes it was an accident, that she often sleepwalks, that she came into his room. Mind you, at this point, they've been married for 4 years, or they've been married for 3 years, and they were sleeping in separate bedrooms. So I find it kind of suspicious that she was coming into his room to load a crossbow. And if you've ever worked with a crossbow, you know there's a safety feature that you have to switch it on to shoot it. So to me, it seems impossible. But she wasn't charged with anything, right? The issues were dropped, so... No, because he said it was an accident. They didn't drop the charges. Actually, they kept the case open for a year, just in case. But it's closed now, or it's still not closed? Well, they're currently now, looking back at it because of the current state of this case. So according to the reports that I've seen, Lana found her husband dead. What did she say happened? What did she tell the police? Well, she told the police she was mowing the lawn, and that when she came into the house, that she saw her husband at the bottom of the stairs. She said he was suffering from vertigo, and that he often stayed at the upstairs and didn't come down because of that. So she led us to assume that because of the vertigo, that he accidentally fell down the stairs because, vertigo affects your balance, and that's what killed him. Audience, you all with me on this? You're all thinking different things now, right? I mean, Bible studies, person who's a nurse, right, respected in the community, and yet there's this weird crossbow incident, and her husband's found dead. Absolutely. So up next, the science behind the chemical found in Stephen's system, because they did an autopsy. And here's the question: can eye drops really be used to kill, and how? We'll be right back. We're back asking the question: how can eye drops be used as a weapon for murder? Lana Clayton is accused of poisoning her husband to death with common over-the-counter eye drops that millions of you use. Oz team forensic criminologist Dr. Laura Pettler is joining us in the crime lab. What was your first impression? The first thing you thought when you heard about this case?
I looked through her history and immediately thought that her psychology was overriding her intelligence. She just, even if she was a smart person, what she wanted was more important to her than the consequences.
My goodness. So there are a couple of things about this case that are telling. Let's go on up there and show everybody. We're just going to go through it like a criminologist would. First off, let's go over this strange crossbow incident that Melissa mentioned.
Yes.
So it's May 2016.
May 2016, Lana shoots a crossbow in their house, in their bedroom, loads it and shoots him, and he tells the police that it's an accident. The police aren't buying that, so they go ahead and leave the case open because in cases like this, Dr. Oz, a lot of times the offender will use that information and say, you know what, I did try to kill you, and you don't even know it, you're not even smart enough to know it. And then the police are thinking, maybe he's gonna come and tell us, you know what, I don't think this was an accident. So they close it after that first year. He doesn't come forward, so they go ahead and rule it accident.
But so it was closed. So if she hadn't done anything else, if she was indeed guilty of doing it on purpose, she would have gotten away with it.
She would have gotten away with it that time.
Right,
he never reported her.
So fast forward now, it's this summer.
Yep.
Right, July 21st, 2018.
Yes, and Stephen is found dead. He's found dead at the bottom of his staircase in his house. Lana is claiming that she finds him at the bottom of the stairs when she comes in from mowing the grass.
It's a big house.
It's a huge house. It's a replica of Mount Vernon. It cost $822,000, and they live a very lavish lifestyle. Very, very lavish lifestyle. He's a very successful entrepreneur in the physical therapy world, and he's doing a great job and married her.
And what was she doing when he fell down the stairs?
We don't know because it's a pending case, and so we don't know all the details yet. But the situation is that she wasn't present. She felt like to keep control, she had to not be present.
So 3 weeks later, there's a funeral.
So 3 weeks.
No, not even 2 weeks even.
No, and there's a delay here because he's at autopsy and different things like that. So then there's a delay. So then it's customary at the house in the South. I live in the South, and a lot of people have funerals at their house. Some people are even buried at their homes. So they hold the funeral at his home.
Okay, and then one last item, if we can fast forward this. Turns out that the autopsy report is issued soon after, and she's arrested.
This is extremely fast, extremely fast. To have an autopsy back for, July 21st all the way back to the, the 31st, I mean, that's like 5 weeks. It's so fast. The toxicology, comes back that something is awry, and she's arrested.
All right, so police know something here. So let's talk about this. The fact that she's a trained nurse, that Lana actually had some insights, how does that affect your thoughts on this process? Why is that important to the case?
So in forensic criminology, I have this thing I always teach that people die the way they live and live the way they kill. And what that means is that they use something that's familiar to them. And in this case, she used eye drops. We know that she was a nurse. She's familiar with drugs. She would know that a drug could potentially kill somebody. So she picked that.
Laura, have eye drops ever been used to kill anybody before?
Well, it's interesting because our researchers here at the Dr. Oz show found that eye drops have been used to poison people before. And it's also been used as a date rape drug, but it's very rare that somebody dies from it.
Let me show of hands, the smartest audience in television. How many of you have ever thought that eye drops could be dangerous like this? I see one hand. Are you a nurse? And the nurses, I guess, know this. Oh my goodness. We don't taught this in medical school. I'll just say I didn't know anything about this. Let's dig a little deeper into this chemical. It's called tetrahydrozoline. I want you to understand how it works in the body. Again, it's found commonly in eye drops. So let's say you got some red eyes, right? You want a little relief. So you put the prescribed amount of these eye drops. Let's say you put 2 drops in there, 1 and 2, right? And pretty soon, your eyes begin to look the way they're supposed to look. Nice and clear and white. The blood vessels constrict, decreases the blood flow to the eye, so with less blood flow, these tiny little vessels going to the eye becomes blanched and white, right? However, if you use large amounts of tetrahydrozoline, as alleged to have happened here, they pour the whole thing in there, and now what happens is problematic. The body, which has lots of things going on, the constriction works in a different way. Your fight or flight response is disrupted, right? It can rapidly lead to symptoms like difficulty breathing or decreased heart rate, lower blood pressure. You can even get coma, or look at this, death, as everything comes shutting down. Everything begins to slow down. The autopilot of the body malfunctions. In fact, many of the companies that make eye drops have a warning label that says in part, if swallowed, get medical help or contact poison control centers right away. See, there's the label right there. And you'll see it, now that I mention it, on other products, because they want to avoid these kinds of catastrophe. So Dr. Laura, you say Lana's behavior after her husband's death is also interesting, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Raise some eyebrows.
Yeah, she immediately opened the estate. Normally when people lose a loved one, especially a spouse, a child, a parent, it's a long time before they open the estate in a case like this. And she immediately went and started messing with his money. And so, you know, it's her history combined with what she did after his death tells me that there is something really wrong here.
Up next, we hear from the victim's family and the unexpected twist in this case, a confession no one saw coming. We're back investigating how over-the-counter eye drops could have been used by a wife to poison her husband to death. Nurse Lana Clayton is accused of doing just that. Crime correspondent Melissa Moore is back with Oz team forensic criminologist Laura Pettler. So after the toxicology came back, Melissa, this is probably the day before police would have arrested Lana, something shocking happens.
So what's interesting is the evening before, Lena had talked to her neighbor saying she can't sleep because of her dogs. And she asked her neighbor, would you watch the dogs tonight and then I can get some sleep? So she goes, goes back home, and in the morning, the neighbor comes back to return the dogs. And when she returns, she goes through the back doorway and finds that there's all these letters strewn about, these suicide letters. But she immediately calls the police, and the police come and they smell the gas. They're overwhelmed by the smell of gas. And so they go in, they rush upstairs, and they find her asleep. They find her unconscious on her bed, but still alive, still breathing. And so they take her to the hospital and treat her.
So they saved her life.
Correct.
Even though she was about to get arrested.
And she was trying to commit suicide.
Are you surprised, Laura?
Nope, not at all. We see a lot of this in the field, that if somebody is accused of a crime, as she is being accused of at this point, she's not, convicted. So, she's allegedly killed her husband. So, no, I'm not surprised at all. And again, the thing is, what's your poison? Pick your poison. She picked eye drops, allegedly, to kill her husband, and now she's picked another drug or chemical, which would be carbon monoxide, to kill herself. So she's very much into drugs and, that kind of pattern of behavior to try to kill, not only maybe him, but maybe herself.
So the attempted suicide wasn't the only twist in this case. The next one, nobody saw coming. Lana initially told police that her husband fell down the stairs. We talked about that earlier, right? Then something unexpected happened, a confession. Melissa?
Yes, when the toxicology report came out, she confessed that she was poisoning her husband with eye drops. Over the course of 3 days, she was putting eye drops in his water.
She confessed?
She confessed, yes.
I mean, it's remarkable. Even without being called out, what's the motive? Why would she do it?
Well, they haven't said what the motive is. Police and prosecutors have not stated what the motive is. It's an ongoing case right now. But we assume, based on the state size and the amount of money, that it was due to money, that he was a successful businessman, over $1 million estate, that she wanted access to his money.
So Lana Clayton sits in jail right now. She's been denied bond. We reached out to her attorney for a statement. They did not get back to us in time for this taping. Melissa, could this be a capital murder case now that she's confessed?
Absolutely. They could seek the death penalty in this case under South Carolina law.
How ironic. You try to commit suicide, you get saved, but the state may still put you to death for what you've done. We actually spoke to the victim's family, who are not speaking out because of the pending trial, but they did thank us for covering the case, and they sent us a note that I can share with you. They said, "We are still shocked over the circumstances surrounding the tragic loss of such a great man who was robbed of his life. We are focusing our efforts right now to continue to work with authorities and ensure we get justice for Stephen. We will continue to follow this case as it moves forward." We'll be right back. Thank you very much, Laura. Melissa. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos to live the good life.